Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We got a lot to talk about here. LeBron went off and made y'all mad. But first, I need everybody to understand something. This is very important to me. The people hear this part that I'm about to say, okay? What I never want to be, and I worried about this when Caitlin Clark was really popping or whatever, I didn't want to be the person that only jumps in to talk about women's basketball when it's some measure of drama that's going on over there, right? Like that feels somewhat exploitative or whatever it is, and I understand why for the fans of women's basketball, that is not something that they like very much. But I also learned that from a lot of fans of women's basketball that they also didn't like very much was when I tried to talk about women's basketball. Neither here nor there. Anyway, I just wanted everybody to know that I watched the championship game on Sunday because I was prepared to discuss this game on this show. However, final score of that game was 79-51, which is to say, this concludes my discussion of the women's NCAA championship basketball game. But I can talk about what happened on Friday, okay? Now, I also want to be clear about this, that I don't really even feel like this is jumping in on something that was messy. Like, this shook America up, and this being Geno Auriemma just chastising Dawn Staley after UConn lost that game, and they got their asses kicked in that game. I mean, there's really no other way to put the way that loss went down. They got their asses kicked. It was 62-48, Ryan, but when it's only 62 for the top score, winning by 14 points is whooping some ass. Like 62-48 in a game that has a 40-second shot clock.
Yeah, that's a ball, and the game was never really close, which is part of the reason why Geno was so hot.
I mean, no, that's the whole reason. He lost his shit because they got their asses kicked, right? That's what it comes down to. And generally speaking, and I don't know if you and I have explicitly talked about this. I think you've gleaned this from me, but this is something I talk about. Me and my man Rick talk about this. Ain't many things in this world that bring me greater joy than watching somebody just flat out lose they shit for something that is not in line with the level of shit losing, or even sometimes when it is in line with it, right? But an adult just completely going on tilt is typically hilarious.
Yes.
That was not hilarious.
Correct.
It was not hilarious at all. It took everyone aback. And it's not as though we've never seen Geno Auriemma be a little, shall we say, feisty or whatever the word is, that is spicy. How about that's the broad term.
He has been spicy since this tournament has started. Yeah, I mean, he's telling everyone in their world about the injustices of the women's tournament compared to the men's tournament. Yes. So he's been on tilt going into this, and he was extra on tilt in the Final Four.
And actually, I would say at this age, salty.
Yes.
Right? Like not even salty in the modern sense, right? Salty in the old school. They talk about somebody being salty, but also salty. He was incredibly salty at the end of that game, and it involved finger pointing, and it was wild because it is very clear that Geno Auriemma and Dawn Staley do not like each other. It was Geno going off on Dawn Staley at the end of that game. And even with that, she was kind of like, yo, what's really hood? Like what I don't understand what's going on here. And it wasn't until she fully understood what had taken place that she said that she would have whooped Geno's ass. And I'm like, hey, let's all, we can't, no, we can't talk about that on the podcast.
No, we cannot.
No, but people were texting me about it, like something about Geno. And I'll be honest with you, Ryan, I had to go back and check because I had forgotten. It used to be that the women's games were ahead of the men's games, which is to say the men's Final Four would be Saturday and Monday, and the women's will be Sunday and Tuesday. And right. I know they changed it quite a while ago, but I still think the Astros play in the National League.
Yes.
You know, like it's not always that easy to make the transition. So
yeah, sometimes there's still the San Diego Chargers sometimes.
Yeah, right. So I saw the highlights, but I didn't watch the game, and people were texting me about something with Geno, and I thought Geno Smith had been busted for a DUI or something. I didn't know what people were talking about because I didn't realize there were games on, right?
Yeah.
So then I saw the clip, and he's got his finger pointed, and he's doing all this talking and everything else. And
he's losing his mind with Holly Rowe during halftime, like the whole deal.
Yeah, and look, man, I'm going to give him a pro tip, okay? I'm going to give this pro tip to you also. I don't care what the circumstances are. Ain't no winning in a, let me make sure I'm using this word correctly. Ain't no winning, there we go, in a vociferous argument with a woman on television, you as man.
Yeah, especially when you're a foot taller than her.
Yeah. You're not, well, is he a foot taller than her?
Holro's very short.
Let me look up how tall Geno Auriemma is. How tall is Geno? Because I've always gotten the feeling that he was he's 6'1".
Oh, that's at least a foot.
Yes, dude, he was giving me such
5'8" energy.
It never dawned on me. Like, in my mind, when he was arguing with Dawn Staley and watching it, like I had made him so short that he might as well have been pointing up. Like I had, and it made him seem so small in the way that he handled it in that moment. Like, you're not winning, generally speaking. Even if you have the moral high ground on this, you're not winning in terms of perception. Now let it be that not only did you have no good reason to behave like that, and you're out here being a sore loser. Come on, man, right? Now, I had forgotten, by the way, that last year, Dawn Staley embarrassed herself going on tilt on the sideline. She was in the chair. It was like in the first half of the game, and she just completely came apart. But it was her talking to her. That's just kind of like, boy, I sure hope she gets that together. Once you bring this into other people's spaces, now Dan Wolken of USA Today wrote a column that was actually pretty measured that made the comparison between Auriemma and Woody Hayes. Now, I was not alive when Woody Hayes hit Charlie Bauman. That's some wild. I don't know I guess if Nick Saban had out of nowhere stole off on a player in the middle of the game, maybe that would have been comparable.
Obviously, for the younger listener, like it would have to be someone of that caliber. Like, yes, you're comparing accomplishment, not attitude. It's not like Brian Kelly.
No, I mean somebody of that age,
yeah,
with that resume. Also keep in mind the role of the coach at that point in time. This is well before the idea of a CEO coach. Like Woody Hayes might as well have been like a surrogate daddy,
right, to
an entire generation of people, right? Like this is when the 70s game, or not even the 70s, but the 10-year war between Ohio State and Michigan that I think they went 5-5 against each other with Schembechler and Woody Hayes, like where the coach is a literal drill sergeant in many cases, like an offshoot of the military, everything else. In the middle of the game, because first of all, it's ridiculous at that point that Ohio State is in the Gator Bowl and they're losing to Clemson of all people, and he steals off on a linebacker after he's made an interception. That's the comp that Wolken made in his column, and I don't think it was necessarily inappropriate. I don't think that what Geno did was the same thing, but the point that he makes is that Woody Hayes was 64 when he did that, and Geno was 72. Like, it was as if his inability to control himself indicated that maybe he shouldn't have this job anymore. Woody Hayes' inability to control himself indicated that he shouldn't have the Ohio State job anymore. You know what else indicated that he shouldn't have the Ohio State job anymore? They only won 7 games that year. If Ohio State had been 11-1, they wasn't going to be firing Woody Hayes after what had happened. Geno Auriemma, in the last 20 NCAA tournaments, they've gone to the Final Four 16 times, including this year. Last year, they won the championship. The year before, they went to the Final Four. 2 years before that, they were the runner-up. The year before that, they went to the Final Four. It was COVID. The 3 tournaments before that, they went to the Final Four. The 4 seasons before that, they won national championships. The 2 seasons before that, they went to Final Four. 2 seasons before that, national championships. All I'm saying is they ain't firing no Geno Auriemma behind something like that. However, it sure looked like they should have fired him, now didn't it? Right? Like, this is not, it almost doesn't matter, like, what your point of comparisons might be or anything else. I think that just had a whole lot to do just with the way it made people feel to watch that as it happened. And he's been doing this job a long time. He knows you can't do that. He knows that you can't get away with that. Now, I don't think that there's going to be like any sort of suspension or any sort of discipline that comes from this. But Ryan, I do feel like this. He better win a lot. Of course, he seems to do that anyway.
Right.
But the margin for error that you now have it ain't there.
Right. And like, especially with an apology that people found to be.
There we go. I almost forgot about that part. If you have not seen the Geno Auriemma apology, I'm going to read it to you, okay? And there are 2 words that are not present in this apology. Oh, by the way, Ryan, here's the headline. I didn't see this because we were getting ready to record. Staley makes show of pregame hug with Close. Yep. Corey Close being the head coach of UCLA. So Geno apologizes. Here's the statement. There's no excuse for how I handled the end of the game versus South Carolina. It's unlike what I do and what our standard is here at Connecticut. I want to apologize to the staff and the team at South Carolina. It was uncalled for in how I reacted. Story should be how well South Carolina played, and I don't want my actions to detract from that. I've had a great relationship with their staff, and I sincerely want to apologize to them. Did you notice the 2 words that weren't there, Ryan?
Dawn and Staley?
They were not. They were nowhere to be found. And that, I can't believe UConn's comms people. I mean, I guess you have to. He's Geno.
Right.
We looked this up. They made the Sweet 16 33 years straight.
Yes.
Minus the COVID year.
Right.
Right? I guess you can't say anything to him, right? But there are many situations in a time like this where they come to you and they say, well, when you're ready to put the words Dawn Staley in this statement, then you can come back to work. Right? Like, until you're ready to do insert thing here. Remember when Kyrie was suspended like indefinitely?
Yeah.
It was very clear. Until you're ready to say X, Y, and Z, you know? Like, you want to come out here wearing that scarf or whatever, that's fine, big dog, but you're going to need to say X, Y, and Z. People get nervous when I do that one, right?
Yes.
People get nervous when
I am people.
I'm taking on the persona of someone else who might say such a thing.
Of course. Yeah.
Also, can't ever remember what it's called. But anyway, I know it starts with a K. But anyway, if you can't say this, you can't come back to work. And if somebody took that approach with Geno right there, I get it. Though I do love the fact, and you had mentioned this before we got out here, the 3 biggest name coaches in college basketball on the women's side, they are all over the place.
Right. Characters. The women's game is so much farther now in terms of character as coaches. Right. Characters and coaches. And also, like, I mean, the players don't jump around like they do on the men's side.
No.
Right.
No, they don't. But I mean, we'll see as the money goes, you know.
You look at the men's side, you look at the people they're trying to hire for this UNC job, as people keep saying no, that, you know, their statements about the candidates. And on the other side, Billy Donovan, I haven't heard of half the names.
Let me tell you something. I feel very confident saying this. The thing with Billy Donovan is it appears that he will not leave the Bulls job as the season goes on, which I respect.
Right.
If it's that important. And what we know is Jerry Reinsdorf is not going to fire him because then he'd have to pay him to not do
Not interested.
Which is not
how it gets down.
Not on the board.
Speaking of things that have been going on since the 90s.
Yeah, he's Mike Brown, right? Like he's not Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, Mike Brown. Like, that's not going down. This is my read. This is not informed. This is my read. They would be in a panic if they did not legitimately believe that they could hire Billy Donovan.
Right.
Right. Look, they've never had a real coaching search before. This is their first actual factual coaching search that they've ever had, at least that they've had since Frank McGuire got hired. Right. They would be completely lost if they did not have some reason to believe that they could get Billy Donovan. And I think Billy Donovan, coaching in the NBA is over for him. If he wants to continue coaching, it'll get no better than coaching at North Carolina. So maybe he gets there late. I think it would stink for Carolina if they hire him after the transfer portal is open. But this is a 10-year hire, not a 1-year hire. And if you got to punt on this year to get Billy Donovan, you don't rush this. You don't rush this for the 1 year to get a coach that you might not actually want to get. You don't do that. That's my thought. Let me tell you what Billy Donovan is not, though. He ain't no character. All right. Women's game got characters, and shoot, woman won the national championship wearing leather pants. Ain't nobody wearing no leather pants on the men's side. Everybody over there wearing quarter zips. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's what I had said when the Caitlin Clark thing was going, the advantage they'd have over there is consistency. They've got better characters up top, and they have more of a roster consistency that allows people. And look, there's still a decent bit of transfer action that goes on over there. But I enjoy the fact that their coaches don't like each other. But you can't do that. You, in particular, cannot do that. If Dawn Staley and Kim Mulkey have that back and forth, we view it differently. I'd be also terrified to talk about it on this show in a number of ways, but we're not having the conversation that we're having right now. It's okay to say that. I think that's a fair acknowledgement. But hey, man, that's the world. That's how it works. You can't do that, period. And if he hadn't done all this goddamn winning that we had just talked about, we'd be having a whole nother conversation right now. But he has. So we just had to wonder we did. LeBron made him mad over the weekend, boy. He made him mad. This has been a very interesting sports weekend, right? Because it's been things that are really interesting that have happened, but aren't necessarily talkers. Like that overtime show that Jokic put on Big Vic, where they both looked incredible. Go look up Jokic's numbers against Victor in
that shot over and that moon shot over him to clinch the game.
Dude, we talked about this the other day. He's the best player in the league, and it's amazing that people have somehow gotten bored.
Right.
With him being the best player in the league. In 7 games against Victor, Joker is averaging 37, 11, and 9.
Yeah, and they're looking like they're cruising to a round 2 matchup after, whatever. The Lakers have lost their two of their top 3 players.
They're cooked.
Cooked.
They're cooked.
We're about to find out a lot about Bomani James next few weeks because he's going to have to play.
Ew.
Yeah, exactly. Correct.
Ew. That's a thing. By the way, I also want to note, just so no one loses sight of, also, Victor in that game himself put up 34, 18, 7 assists, and 5 blocks.
Right.
What is the NBA right now?
Yeah.
This is, and the best player in the league is the other guy.
Yeah.
Right? This is where we are. But anyway, for those of you who ain't seen this, and every now and then I get afraid, right, that hopefully we're not overestimating how much, not letting Twitter program our show or the social media apps. But this seemed to have people really charged up.
No, this broke containment
on
social media. Yeah,
this broke containment. Okay, so long and short, LeBron was out playing golf with some white dudes, and that detail is very important. I think
in almost the whitest setting imaginable.
Yeah, and it's a show, right? It's a thing. But some random white boys playing golf. Not only would he get on there with them, he got loose.
The loosest he's been. He was looser with them than he's been It's been a long time.
Yeah, like he must really love golf, or like didn't think they was really. I mean, and
he does. That has been the interesting like sub wrinkle of this year is how much he loves golf, and specifically this sort of like YouTube show golf of like almost streamer golf content.
Yeah, like he
is legitimately dialed in, Ellen.
Yeah, it has gotten him. And you play golf?
No, I do not, but I'm pretty familiar with the world.
I had a summer that I played so much golf that I played till I went broke. Like I was literally, my card was getting denied at the course, which goes over differently when they listen to you on the radio. just let you guys know. It was before TV money, when radio money was like the money that like I could buy a radio.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, so LeBron's out there, and these cats ask him about cities he doesn't like playing in. And the full context I do think is somewhat important. He said he doesn't like playing in Milwaukee, and he said he doesn't like playing in Memphis. Okay. Now, he could have stopped there. And if he had stopped there, I would just try to explain something to people that they kind of need to get. The NBA collective bargaining agreement requires 5-star hotels for the players. And this is an issue in some of the towns where there are NBA teams. Like Oklahoma City, I think, for example, has one hotel that fits the description. It's also your friendly reminder that 5-star hotel is not some kind of scientific designation, right? Like what 5-star means is incredibly broad. And in Memphis, it means the Westin that's across the street from the arena. And it ain't no fancy Westin. It's a Westin. I understand that for some of you, they're like, what's wrong with the Westin? Here's what's wrong with the Westin. Nothing except. It's a very important except. This is the standard that we have for hotels. I remember when I was younger, and I was just kind of like, you know, when you're in college, you do something to get a little hotel room, you get you like a Hampton Inn or something like that, you know, a little affordable situation. And I remember saying to myself, I never understood how it was that people got too good for that. You know what I'm saying? Like it does the job. You got a bed, you got a shower, you got what you need, whatever it is. Okay, here's the rule for hotels. A hotel must be as nice or nicer than the place that you live. That is how your standards for hotels change, and they may move with whatever your life is. It is in line with whatever your house is. And I'm here to tell you, LeBron James' house is a lot nicer than the Westin. Just throwing it out there. The other thing I would say, where I could understand, because why you might not want to go to those places also, is simply, he's not going to those cities as me or you. He's going to those cities as LeBron James, incredibly rich person, right? He wants to do incredibly rich things, okay? So while Gus's Fried Chicken might be something that you look forward to doing when you go to Memphis, it's not really like what LeBron is about at this point. That's not what he wants to do. This is the reason why he and the entire league talk about how Memphis is the worst place for them to go. Now, I am surprised that on that list is not Oklahoma City.
Is that the point? Is Oklahoma City where they stay at the hotel that's haunted?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, again,
because there's one hotel.
There's only one. If you've ever had to try to book a hotel room in Oklahoma City, you understand a little bit about what LeBron James is talking about, right? But it's a hotel, and they say it's haunted. But for whatever reason, they still complain about Memphis. Maybe the haunted hotel is nicer. I have no idea. Like, I would think the Sacramento maybe would creep up there. People have said, well, what about Salt Lake City? There's money in Salt Lake City, though. A lot of money in Salt Lake City, right? Ain't a lot of drink, but it's a lot of money in Salt Lake City. I'm not surprised that isn't the place and it's really pretty, apparently. But anyway, Memphis is the one that they all talk about. And I could understand why it is that Memphis is not up to the standards in a lot of ways that a lot of these cats are up to. Now, for those of you who know a little something about Memphis, you'll understand what I say here, which is they had an ordinance that they put in place in Memphis that affected the cultural fabric of the place, Ryan. It was a dress code of sorts at certain establishments that established a minimum level of clothing that they were required to wear at, we'll call them clubs. The dudes would have liked Memphis a lot more if it was the Memphis of the old days. If they did not have that dress code in place, is what I'm saying. Okay. Anyway, if LeBron had simply stopped there, this would be the conversation I would be having with you about him talking about how he doesn't like going to play in Memphis. But that isn't where he stopped. Where he stopped, he said they should move the team to Nashville, and buddy, that is where he stepped in it.
Yes. And he was asked about it the Saturday, and he doubled down. Yes.
So the thing about Memphis and Nashville, aside from the idea that they're cities in the same state, and you know how that goes, Nashville has kind of been fetishized, especially by a lot of people on the right, because Nashville, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm operating somewhat anecdotally, but Nashville is the rare city in the South that isn't really associated with a black presence. Memphis is black. Okay, black. I have heard somebody say that it is pejoratively referred to at times as Memphrica. Okay, like we all know this about Memphis. Memphis is super duper black. That's what it is. When you start talking about moving the team to Nashville, which would not work for a team, they barely want to support the Titans. They already got a hockey team, right? Once he decided to take it to that step, oh, no. Now it feels like anti-blackness.
Especially as Nashville has now become the unofficial capital of right-wing media.
It's all tied into what we're talking about, right? They also don't have state income tax. That's a big part of it. But that's where he wound up. And I don't even know if he knew that that's where he was winding up. I do imagine, though, it's a better place to be a rich person, right? Like for the sorts of things that he might be talking about and trying to get into, like I could see how that would be better for him. But I was a little floored by how fiercely people responded to him saying that, because I thought it was a sucker move. But I mean, the real reason it's a sucker move, when these NBA players get on the podcast and say they don't want to talk about Memphis, don't want to play in Memphis, there's a black person right there. There's a black person right there. You out there with your white friends, they ain't even your friends. It sounds like you just met the motherfuckers playing golf. And then you say this, and they're all chuckling it up. It was woo. So then they come talk to LeBron after about it, and he doubled down. He was like, I don't even like going home. He said he don't want to go to Cleveland no more. And it's like, damn, okay, you for real about this. You could have very easily been like, hey, man.
Do you think he was referring to Cleveland or Akron when he said going home?
Yes.
Fair enough.
I will note that one of my partners who was listening to this show, he said about LeBron, he was talking about LeBron talking bad about Memphis. He was like, you not even from Cleveland.
Yeah.
And so my new name for Akron will now be not even Cleveland. Just a kid from not even Cleveland. He was like that.
Not even Cleveland, the home of LeBron James.
Yes. They're like, yo, how dare you? How do you even come out here and say this under these circumstances? You from not even Cleveland, and you got something to say over this. And what I also think that people don't get about Memphis is, if you ever been to Memphis, I think you'll get this. This is going to be a roundabout explanation. People are not going to. The plane will be landed. Ryan, is by any chance you ever been to Seville, Spain?
I have not.
Okay, I went to Seville in 2018, and I don't even remember why I picked Seville. Right? Somebody had hit me to the fact that Portugal had beaches, so I went to the Portugal beaches, and then I was like, oh, I could shoot over to Spain. It was an hour and a half bus ride to Seville, and I don't know who told me Seville was cool, but I said, okay, I went. Never been so hot in my life, just throwing it out there. But for those of you who don't know, Seville now, let me see how many people. Like, it has an airport. Like, I don't want to act like it's not a city, but Seville it's got like 680,000 people, right? It's really pretty. It's really interesting. It has a heavy dose of the influence of the Moors. And also it's the one place in Spain that got like a touch of the Renaissance, right? So it's got a lot of stuff that's going on there. But the big thing is Seville used to be the capital of the Spanish Empire. And there's something about being there that, like, a bad one is a bad one is a bad one forever, right? And Seville used to be the baddest one, and it still got a little air about it. Like, it still got it. Look, it don't look like it used to. You know what I'm saying? Right. A little, it ain't what it was. But in its mind, Seville is still Seville. I am fascinated by cities like that used to mean something different than they do now. But the people who are from there still got that in them. You know what I mean? Like, Memphis is one of those cities. Say it again.
Boston.
Yeah, like Baltimore is maybe a little closer example. St. Louis, right?
St. Louis is a great one, yeah.
Yeah, Pittsburgh to a degree. But what it is with these cities is you don't have to explain to people where they are. Right? People know what your city is. Even if you got jokes, people know what they know something about the place. And Memphis and people from Memphis carry that level of pride, right? It is a place that has historically mattered. And in that region, it is a place that matters, right? It ain't cracking like it used to, all of that stuff. But it still means something. And so when Buddy talk about, man, they should move the team to Nashville, to them, they like, but this is ours. Like, why you talk about taking a team from us? Now, I think that there's a certain measure of overreaction. Like, LeBron doesn't have the power to do this. It's not right. Like, it's just it is under the heading of one man's opinion, but it's one man who was yucking it up with some white boys on the golf course about it. And that was a horrific look for him. And I don't know if he knows this, but that has been a topic of discussion for people, is the idea of moving the Grizzlies out of Memphis. And they're like, damn, we can't have nothing. That's a basketball city. They care about this, right? When the team is good, they out there, they support it. Like, I don't know what the financials are or anything like that. The city just ain't got a strong hotel game. And if you're an NBA player, that means a lot. I think LeBron said something about staying at the Hyatt Centric. And I'm like, hey, while there's nothing wrong with it, if I were in the NBA, I would have never heard of the Hyatt Centric. Just throwing it out there. I would rent an Airbnb out a whole building before I stayed at the Hyatt Centric if I was LeBron James under those circumstances. But I'm surprised he doubled down. Like, he plays it safe on so many things.
And now he's just like, yeah, I said it. It's just my opinion. What's the problem with it?
Well, I would say this on his behalf, though. If I were him, I would retire at the end of this season. Because if I were him, I would not be excited about going back to Memphis. They take things very personally there, as Gucci Mane. You can predict the playoff action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. All you have to do is sign up to get your $25 bonus. Follow all the playoff dishes, swishes, wishes, and misses. Every move is a potential plot twist. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs, where one run, one rebound, one shot changes everything. From opening tip to the final buzzer, stay locked in with every pass, every play, and every moment that moves us closer to crowning a champion. Sign up now for your $25 bonus on FanDuel Predicts. Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commissions merchant. 18 plus. Bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with our consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus offer terms.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Market, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18 plus, one per user. Minimum $10 deposit required. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with our consumer protection tools.
We cover a lot of trends on this show, and over the last few months, everyone has been talking about AI. But let's face it, talking about trends doesn't help you be more efficient at work. For that, you need the right tools. You need Zapier. Zapier is how you break the hype cycle and put AI to work for real. Teams use Zapier to streamline their RevOps, marketing, sales, IT, HR, and more. In fact, 3.4 million companies are already automating with Zapier.
That's right, Bo. We're using Zapier here on the right time, and it's automated workflows to bring you the show even faster and more efficiently.
Zapier means you and your team can actually reap the benefits of AI, not just talk about it. With Zapier's AI orchestration platform, you can bring the power of AI to your work. Connect top AI models like ChatGPT and Claude to the apps your team already uses so you can add AI exactly where you need it. Or something else. You can do it with Zapier. Zapier is for everyone, tech expert or not. No IT bottlenecks, no complexity, no AI hype, just results. Teams have already automated over 300 million AI tasks using Zapier. Join the 3.4 million companies already automating with Zapier and transform how you work with Zapier and AI. Get started for free by visiting Zapier.com/Bomani. That's Zapier.com/Bomani.
We know you can't be on top of all the news and information of the day. No need for the social media feeds. We got you. Now, if you haven't heard.
All right, Bo, if you haven't heard, Michigan's taking on UConn tonight in the national championship game. Danny Hurley going for his third national title in 4 years. Bo, you think they pull this off?
Michigan should beat them.
Right.
Michigan is looking like a machine.
Giant.
And what they did to Arizona, boy, glad Tommy Lloyd got that buddy lined up already.
Got his money and doesn't have to report to his boss he hates.
That's right. That was the big adjustment that he got in his new deal.
Yeah.
Was to pull that off. Like, that was the thing. As the Tommy Lloyd thing was going on, I was like, I don't know if he wants to go to UNC, but I do know he wants a raise.
Yeah.
Well, he raised his ass up at that tournament. They smacked them. Michigan should win that game. Like, if Hurley manages to win this one, and we're talking about, 3 titles in 4 years?
Yep.
We're talking about one of the greatest coaches who ever lived.
Yeah.
Like, who else has done that?
3
outside of Wooden, who's giving you 3 in 4 years?
Especially in the NIL era.
Yes.
Like, it's, and that's not a place that's, he's not Texas Teching their way into a giant roster. Like,
No.
He's figuring this out through,
At a school that has no inherent advantage. And this is the big one I saw somebody point out. This is their 8th Final Four. In the 7 they've been through so far, they won 6 titles. How is that possible?
I didn't realize they've only been to 8 Final Fours.
Basically every time they've gone. The only time they didn't was in 2009 when they lost to Michigan State. Now remember, Hashim Thabit flat out quit at the end of the game.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. It's going to be interesting to see if Hurley pulls that off. Moving on to media, TMZ is getting into a new game. They're going after politicians as, the government shut down. They are finding these politicians in different locales all over the country, including Lindsey Graham at Disney World. Levin said he issued a call for TMZ's audience to send in photos, interviewing TSA workers, trying to get, going after different congressmen. Bo, are you surprised by TMZ's effort to shame members of Congress?
And man, let me tell you, if they've decided they're going to get in this game, everybody need to watch out. Let me throw something out here for you. And this will get back to your home state, but I doubt that you were old enough to remember this. Does the name Bob Livingston ring a bell to you?
I'm familiar with the name, but not the context you're talking about.
So when the Clinton impeachment hearings were going on and every Republican was the highest and the mightiest.
Yes.
Larry Flint put out a bounty on these cats. He said it was $1 million out there for proof of adulterous affairs of any person in Congress. And Bob Livingston, who was, it was trending toward him becoming the Speaker of the House. Flint got him. Put that $1 million on the street. Somebody came back with the proof, and he had to resign. He was going to be the Speaker of the House. He had to resign because Larry Flint called him up.
I don't always approve of their methods, but I trust TMZ's effectiveness more than I do Congress's.
And this is what I'm saying, that if they decide that they're in this game, they get information that I think, generally speaking, there's kind of an understanding that we let a bunch of stuff slide, right? Like people talk about K Street in DC, all them Congress plates, diplomatic plates, or whatever it is that's pulling up. That's the stroll. At least it used to be the stroll. I don't know if it still is, but pulling up to pick them up off the street or whatever. If you was really in the business of shutting them down, you just set up over there and everybody knew what it was, right? I don't know if TMZ is setting up over there, but all I'm saying is it's out there and people have kind of let stuff slide. And TMZ doesn't have to. I'm not even necessarily talking about giant scandal like that, but just like you said, we're going to go find people at Disney World or anything else. Now, at the same time, I mean, I feel like it's kind of like snow day, except it's no snow. You know what I'm saying? They like, it's like the air conditioner broke at work.
Yeah, I mean,
okay?
they are
now broke at Disney World.
They are technically off. You know?
Yeah, they're like, what you want me to do about it? What, we just all supposed to be sad? And the answer is kinda. Like this is up there. This isn't. I don't think this is the same as Ted Cruz going to Cancun.
Yes, during the middle of the hurricane.
Yeah. I don't know if this is exactly the same, but. Hey, man, whatever it is, TMZ being in this game would shake me up if I was somebody not doing what I should.
It's just wild because, as they've clearly figured out that very few things are more unpopular than Congress and politicians. And that sort of rage, I'm sure, drives a lot of internet traffic.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of, things to their business. And, if we've learned anything in Washington the last 10 or so years, it's when unwritten rules start getting broken, that's when things really start to get crazy.
Todo es posible.
All right, let's move on to AI. Microsoft had to issue an interesting warning about its Copilot program. They had to say it's, quote, for entertainment purposes only, not for serious use. Bo, what is your thought about this as AI continues to permeate our lives?
Another thing that we're throwing out here that comes with a warning label. Right? And look, I don't know if hypocritical is the way to put this, but I don't deny this. We've done advertising on this show for AI stuff. We do advertising on this show for gambling. But I do not deny it every turn. It comes with a warning label. They put the warning label on it. Okay?
Right.
We don't have to lie about what's going on here. But to be fair to the AI people, I don't feel like they should have to put a warning label on this, that we should be just a little bit smarter, but we're not.
We're not.
Therefore, a label has to be put on it for entertainment purposes. Oh, this is your idea of a good time?
Right.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Like this is your idea of a good time? That's good luck thinking that's going to spare you from liability when it comes down to it.
All right, Bo. Got some great voicemails as always. Here's our first.
Shout out to Bomani and shout out to Ryan. This is Yosef, longtime listener. Bo, if you remember back in the day, ESPN had a 30 for 30 special on called Broke. We're talking about athletes, spending money on car washes and studios. So my question for you is Kirk Cousins going to get his own 30 for 30 about getting teams to keep paying him like he's Joe Montana or the second coming of Patrick Mahomes? 5 years, $172 million from the Raiders? Come on, Bo. This man needs a 30 for 30 about how he keeps going to the bank. Let me know what you think, man. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe. Take care. And Dominique Foxworthy, I need you to clear your schedule. I need more of you and Bo on the right time. Take care, fellas. Bye.
All right, just so Dominique knows, we ain't telling him to say that. That's just the streets speaking. You
Correct.
Understand what I'm saying? And also, to be fair on this Cousins deal, that's number math. It's really just like a 1 year deal.
But it's a 1 year, $20 million
deal.
Guaranteed.
He keeps pulling this off. And it really came down to franchise tag me. I ain't even tripping. right? Like he just rode that out as far as it would go, and he got his money. He got his money. He has been a much better quarterback than I ever thought that it was possible that he could be. But nobody has maxed out their earning potential quite like him. He is a legend at the bank, and his agent ain't even one of the famous agents. And that's where my question comes down. How is everybody not trying to get his phone number?
It's amazing. I think every contract he's had since the last 2 years in Washington have been fully guaranteed.
Though he did an extension in Minnesota that tweaked that out.
Got it. But it was
But the bottom line is fully guaranteed is a bit overrated as a notion in the NFL, right? Like the NFL is the only place where somebody give you $70 million all at one time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it kind of goes from there. Like there's an equilibrium at play with that market, and I totally get it. But the reality is, when I was giving people hell for giving Kirk Cousins too much credit 11 years ago when he was throwing 2 interceptions a game, there was no way in the world to think that he would have made, how much you think he'd have made so far?
I just looked it up, so I'm cheating.
Okay. Don't ruin the surprise. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you on Spoke Track?
I am on Off the Cap, but
okay, what number is Off the Cap giving you?
Off the Cap is giving me 331.
Oh wow. I only had 322.
Yeah.
Those are millions.
Yeah. That is third most all time behind Matt Stafford and Aaron Rodgers.
What?
All right, here's our next one.
Hey, Bo, I know that you have been diving into the world of uniquely named people, but I do have a name-related question for you. At what point is it acceptable for people to start using the old folks version of their name? I got an email from a Kathy who is a law student, and so she is still in her 20s, and I'm like, I don't think you've earned that yet. So I would love your insight into at what point does Bobby become Bob? When does Billy become Bill? When does Catherine become Kathy? Appreciate all you do.
I actually think a more interesting discussion there is shout out to all those people who never change. Shout out to my homeboy Joey. He's still Joey. Like, what does it take for you to just be like, no, I'm just gonna ride like this is who I am.
Like you start off as a kid as Billy, you don't become William.
Yeah. You don't become Bill. You just like the real question is you know what? To what he proposed, and we don't do this anymore, but he made it too broad. The question is, back in the day, at what point did Richard decide it's Dick? At what moment did you say, no? Like, no, you couldn't just be like, he wasn't Dick Vitale when he was 10. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, to be fair, that was probably about 70 years ago.
That's also true. That's also true. But
in
like,
1950, he might have just been.
But like, at what point do you just decide I'm going to call me Dick? That and by the way, do you decide that for yourself, or does your personality dictate? Like, when did Dick Van Dyke, what a whimsically named man who is not just still in the league, but still giving us about 8 points a game off the bench?
100 years old.
Yeah, when did
or
Dick
99, right around there.
Yeah, when did Dick Van Dyke, like, even though your last name is Van Dyke, you still went with Dick? When did you make that call? Right? And what day did people look around and be like, hey, Ixnay on the Ick day? I gotta say, that was funnier than I expected.
That was very funny.
I didn't think it was going to be that good.
All right, here's our last one.
Hey, Bomani. This is Will from Oklahoma City. I think I got a pretty good one for, our favorite subject. So a few days ago, my sweet 91-year-old grandmother, she went to go be with the Lord. And I was, trying to be a good son. I went with my mom to go to the funeral home, try and plan some stuff. Whatever. Anyway, the guy comes out with the render for the headstone. and I realized I didn't know my grandmother's middle name, which was Larice. I don't know if this one totally counts. I don't know any black Larices either. But I saw that capital R and I just started grinning, thinking of the right time. But
it's the capital, by the way.
Yes.
And yeah, I know Larice. Yeah, that's on the list. That's I encountered I saw it written down somewhere, a white Kamisha who wishes to be called Cammy. Nope.
Nope. Not by you.
No chance. You should have never told me.
Correct.
I never would have known if you hadn't said it. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 4 days a week. Ryan Brumley handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Hit the voicemail line, 323-596-7767. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.